So I'd like to call the meeting of February 12th, the Redevelopment Commission to order. And the first call to order is what was left over from last month, the nomination of officers. And I believe the current officers are, I'm president, Mary is vice president, and Tom is secretary.
Mm-hmm.
And I would entertain a motion to, everybody would so please to leave everything the same, but.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Or
Can I make the motion?
you could, it doesn't matter. I mean,
You want
somebody
me
has
to make the
it.
motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
I second it, if I can.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's only 4 of us and 3 of us have an assignment, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to maintain the same nomination of officers, that Kent Fisk will be president, Mary Zerbach will be vice president, and Tom Lehman will be secretary. And no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. And so be it. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from January 8th.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from January 8th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and to approve the minutes for January 8th. All those in favor say aye.
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 And I will abstain since I was not here. Okay. And let's go right in and see the Buck Creek Township Fire Department. So they have that time of year.
Yes, sir. Everybody loves to come see you this time of year.
Yes, it's that time of year.
Good morning. Thanks for the time. I wanted to do 2 things. One is first of all, I wanted to kind of give you guys an update of where the township stands and kind of some of the things that are going in relative to the Redevelopment Commission and the TIF areas within the township. And then the second part is I wanted to talk about doing a new MOU as our current MOU will come to expire at the end of this year. And so from the things that are going on within the township, overall the department saw an 8% increase in run volume. Of that 8%, increase in run volume specifically to the TIF. And one of the things I want to be clear on that I exclude is I've not included car crashes. How you can contribute a car crash as being relative to TIF traffic or relative to being personal traffic is difficult. So these are just runs that are to the businesses within our area. We saw a 15% increase into the runs in the TIF area, which are the non-residential areas. Additionally, 27% of our total runs are mutual aid where we're assisting the county. And then 31% of our total runs are those that are dispatched to the TIF. So 31% of our total runs are to the businesses, and we saw a 15% increase of that volume over the last year. So kind of giving just, I throw up a couple graphs. I don't want to try and overcomplicate it too much. I try and keep it relatively simple. But if you look at our total runs dispatched, we go up to 25, and then we project out 26 and 27. We've got the yellow is going to be where the projection for the TIF runs are, and then the red are our mutual aid runs that we're looking at. I think something else that's kind of relative to look at, and I apologize, this is small. I have a copy of this presentation that I'll give you guys so you'll be able to see the graphs a little bit better. What I did is I broke down from the DLGF's website. I pulled out the AV of each. I did it by percentage, the 1%, 2%, and 3%, and then I did it by the 4 career departments in the areas that they serve. So the top left is going to be the residential AV. If you see the green is Buck Creek, we're down there in the low bottom, seeing some growth. I think this growth, it's using historical to project forward. I think we're going to see more than that as we have 4,000 units that are approved for development. Some of those are in progress. Some of those, for instance, Cumberland has an area that has kind of stagnated, and we're not sure when that development's going to take place. So from those projections.
Are all those residential units south of 70?
No, we have some that are McCordsville.
So some of them in McCordsville city limits?
Yes. But all of the others are going to be south of 70, I do believe.
Okay. So then none of the residential units that are proposed are in the TIF areas?
Correct. Correct. Only the 3% are TIFed at this point. We don't have any residential TIFs that have been established. From the 2% side of things, again, the green, you can see that we're on the lower side of things. So we're still seeing growth in that area, but it's not significant growth whatsoever. What really starts getting impressive is this is the 3%, the industrial commercial. And so I don't know if you remember when I presented to you guys, I believe it was 2.5, 3 years ago, and in October, I talked about the fact that our 3% was going to supersede greenfields. We have. We are actually projecting way above as far as where greenfield is, and we're projecting out into 2028 surpassing the 1 billion in the AV for the 3%. Of that, when we look at the TIF revenue that's captured, the majority of that, there's about 40 million of AV that's not being captured within the TIF. Everything else is currently being captured within the TIF from that 3%. And so just wanted to kind of give you those insights. I think something else that is really powerful is taking a look at the geographical map. So this is using Google Earth data, and this is what 2021 Buck Creek Township looks like, and then flipping over and taking a look at what 2025 looks like. It just shows the boom that we have had in the development within the past 4 years. Mr. Fisk, I know you'll be happy to know Amplify is even on this map, so you can see where it is over there on the right. But just from that perspective, trying to show the area that we are now defending and the property that we're providing I'll call it the insurance policy for, has been pretty substantial. One of the things I wanted to also kind of bring up, and there's two reasons to this. One is that on March 16th, 2022, Plainfield, everybody's aware, had a 1.2 million square foot Walmart distribution facility that caught fire and was a total loss. The reason that I bring this back up is there is a great video that they've done. They held a mega warehouse class, and it was open to anybody that wanted to come to it. They filled over in Avon a theater with people that were coming, listening to kind of the feedback and some of the insight on that fire. Some of the things that they realized that were good, some of the things that they realized they needed help on. And so it was just an overall great thing. They created a YouTube video that was released that day as well called When the Sky Turned Black. If you've had the opportunity to watch it, I think you'll find that it's very powerful and gives an insight. It's about I want to say it's about a 20, 30-minute video, so it's not horrible in length. But you also get first account from the firefighters on what they saw, what happened on the inside, so forth and so on. And so I think it's a very powerful thing it's a very powerful video that I encourage you, if you've not had the opportunity, to take a watch on. Again, kind of just putting into context, at a 1.2 million square foot building, our Walmart's a 2.2. We now have Walmart that's taken on a 1.1 million over on the other side of 600 West, as well as Amazon has also picked up a 1.1 million building over off of 700 West as well. So just kind of the proposed path forward. I'd like to ask that we enter into a new MOU. The MOU would be very similar to what we've done. I made a couple changes to it, and I'll explain why here in just a moment. Maintain flexibility on how those funds are applied. Again, I'll kind of cover that piece here in just a moment. And then continue coordination. I greatly appreciate the conversation. I know that anytime that I've asked to come and get in front of you guys, I don't get the eye rolls or the sighs. It's always okay, what do you have to say? And I try and make sure that we value your time as well, so that it's not always just coming and trying to be the squeaky wheel that gets replaced with another squeaky wheel. So just continuing those conversations. The same thing goes along the lines with the commissioners. It goes along with the council, and then it also goes along with our state legislators. We've been talking with Representative Lawson and Senator Kreider as well on some of the things going on within our township and trying to get some insight from there. And then the union has also been very active in some of those conversations as well. And then the last point that I had was just ensuring the fire protection planning remains aligned with the redevelopment growth. Found out yesterday in the meeting, Mr. Sorrell was talking about the fact that we've got 4 of the vacant buildings that already have, sounds like lease agreements or contracts that are starting to go. So I'm going to work with Mitchell Kirk and seeing if we can't kind of get on that notification list so that we can get ahead of, instead of in the general meetings finding out, oh, hey, by the way, there's somebody's coming. Great, who is that, and how can we work with them to see if that they can help to align? I know that there was the conversations with Sugar Foods when they were looking at coming in to try and help support the department. So if there are other developers that are willing to do the same, by all means, we want to take advantage of that. The last bit of information is we don't look at this as a one-way street. We're also doing our part as well. We did a project last year where we bought 44 sets of new fire gear, which comes to the tune of about $150,000. And in doing that, we were able to work with some local resources to get $120,000 of donations to the department for that. We also put in an air filtration system, and we worked directly with Walmart in getting a $20,000 donation, waiting on the check to be received, but we've got the big check and we've got the commitment of the $20,000 from Walmart's distribution center coming to help offset that cost of $110,000. So we're working our end on this as well. It's not just keep coming up and asking and asking and asking. Our plans for this year, I want to engage with Amazon. I want to engage with some of our other businesses as well that are in the area and see how they can help to partner with us to make the community safer. And so from the MOU side of things, when I did the initial discussion, our accounting folks had conversations with Mr. Poole, and the concern for the RDC budget was looking at 29. He said for 27 and 28 looked very healthy. 29 was where some concerns started to come in. It sounds like that they have been successful with some of the traffic grants coming from the state and federal level, and so with that has secured the budget going into 30 and 31. And so originally my ask was going to be looking at a 2-year MOU with a minimum of $700,000, similar to what we had done before. And talking to Mr. Poole yesterday, he said I would do 3. It gives a 0 risk to the RDC budget, and he supports that. I'll let him speak to that if he likes. And so my ask would be is the consideration of doing exactly what we did before. We did a 3-year MOU, and I did the verbiage of a minimum 3 years, a minimum, and then here I put a minimum of $700,000. I believe that that's already programmed into the budget for the RDC, so there's nothing new. What that does is, and I changed the wording a little bit. I know that, Mary, you had some concerns, kind of the commitment, and so there's as long as your budget is met, understanding that your priorities are there. And so that was kind of built into this MOU this time so that I hopefully will feel better. I have a copy. I apologize. I didn't send a copy because I had 4 versions based on some different information that I was getting on which one to present. The other thing that we didn't do is I didn't want to tie this directly to a staff number. In doing some research and kind of some digging, the concern that I had is that SEA 1's impacting a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. We are looking at using primarily these funds towards adding staff, but I'm working with our accounting folks to make sure that sustainability is something that as we get to the end of that 3 years, it's not going to be oh my gosh, we're going to have to terminate people if we don't get continued funding. I don't think that that is fair to put that onus onto you. I will tell you that we were successful in our sustainability with the current MOU, that what we did is we are now at a point where our budget had grown as we had expected, and it had allowed us it freed us up some funds to do some capital purchases and catch up on our capital list. So our intent is to go that same direction. I am cautious just with some of the state legislation going on. We're closely watching some of the bills that are currently in the session right now to see how SEA 1 will be modified and the other things that are going to impact us going forward. And so that was why I kind of loosened I didn't tie it directly to a number of people, but indicated that would be used for operational and for capital purchases within the department.
The laws have changed since the first MOU, so we don't have to restrict. You don't have to be restricted as much on what the dollars went to and everything.
Yes, sir.
Before, that's why we created the EDAs and everything, because the state said, no, you can't do this, can't do that, you can't do this, and now it opens it up. So the MOU should be vague to give you flexibility.
Absolutely.
On it.
So you're $100,000 a year, is that what you had said?
No, $700,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
All
what
right.
it.
I didn't hear him.
The other piece of information that you might help us all is because a couple of the big vendors are acquiring more buildings. If you knew the percentage of increase of runs and where they came from, if one of the vendors is off balance with most of the runs coming from that vendor, then we need to know that, because if they're going to double their footprint and they're causing us all the problems, or most of the activity, we need to know that. I'm assuming that the 2 biggest vendors out there are what the biggest increase in the things is, but that's an assumption. So if you have that, if you have that information, that's great information to keep track of. And it will help us too when they come to us for stuff, because when they come to us, hey, we have 2 million, now we want 4 million. Okay, but I know they're gonna come for at least 3 million, but now maybe 4 million, who knows, you know what I mean? Then we can say, well, that's great, but our statistics show that, it's an off balance from the other places, so we need to off balance how the funding, the stuff like that, because when we're deciding what tax abatements and stuff are.
Yeah, I'd
What
be
kind
happy.
of calls do you get to the TIF area? What kind of calls are they, the majority of them?
So the majority are medical. Again, I excluded out car crashes at intersections because I think I think realistically, if we took our car crashes and attributed 66% of those, or 2/3 of those, I think that would be a reasonable assumption that those are relative to TIF traffic as opposed to just the residential traffic. But I excluded that specifically. We're seeing primarily, we're getting fire alarms, we're getting medical calls, and then with the distribution facility, we've had a couple, I'll call them odd calls. One of the ones that we reference is they had a high CO issue where they had CO throughout the building because of a contractor that wasn't venting a crane appropriately. We were there 5 hours. They ended up bringing somebody down from Chicago to kind of help figure out at what point they wanted to start letting crews back in. They've had issues where they've had sprinkler head failures within their racking system. So we've seen that from the Amazon side off of 300. We've seen a lot of medical calls. We had a huge ramp up on those, and then we went and had a discussion and said, hey, did you realize that you called us almost 100 times last year? And they went, oh, no. And so all of a sudden, it tapered off, and now we're starting to see a ramp up. We think it's relative to an incident, but we've seen a ramp up again where we're going out there frequently. So I don't want to make it sound like that they are that they're burdens to society, because I think that that's a
No,
poor
but
statement, they are
too, we can
increasingly-
address with them if there's something they can do to not rely on, 911 for every single,
And that's what
scenario.
I try to watch trends within. For instance, when Randall Residence became charter senior living, we saw a new trend start. And so when we see those trends or we see a high volume, I'll go do a one-on-one with the site managers. Hey, you guys have called us for this. We've been, another one was Speedway. Within 4 days, we had a fuel spill at Speedway. And what it is they were the cheapest diesel. They don't have the larger nozzles, so the box trucks are filling up, and then they're overflowing 10 gallons of fuel. And so I told them, look, we need to figure something out, because this isn't a good use of resources when you should be able to mitigate this yourselves. And we've not been back yet. So we do try to proactively engage some of the businesses on, hey, how can we help you help us?
Yeah.
And I think that we've had good success, and a lot of time, again, we'll see there's a ramp up, we have a conversation, it drops down, slowly ramps back up, and so it's cyclic.
Do they have like medics, any of them? Somebody that can handle the really small things instead of calling you? Do some of them have that?
They do. So Amazon has staff that's on site. They have I'll call it a clinic facility that they use. And so there is a handful of things that we don't see. However, once they reach an acuity, or once an associate says, I want an ambulance, they're done. They have to make the phone call.
Yeah, I just wondered if for the Band-Aid stuff, that
Yep.
they have people there. That's good.
Same thing with Walmart. They've got a clinic there as well. And I don't want to belittle the efforts that they're putting in. I do think if those clinics were not present, we would have a lot higher volume than what we do.
I assumed they had that, but I didn't really
Well,
know.
and those footprints are going to increase exponentially. I mean, that they're not done growing yet.
Right.
So you can count on additional increases in the years to come until they hit a point where either they, robotics starts limiting the amount of individuals they have there or something. So.
You had talked about the additional rent, occupancy that's going to happen. There were 4 spec buildings in there we believe could be leased up. When in the cycle of pulling an interior improvement permit or a construction permit do you get involved?
So typically, Mr. Williams is really good about engaging my fire marshal. So I have a fire marshal whose sole purpose is to go through and take a look at some of the design that's going on for the interior.
He's usually teed off before the permits. You have to look at the drawings before the permit's issued, right?
For the COO, yes.
No, when it
Building
actually
permit.
submitted for construction. So they build a shell, the interior improvement permit should be submitted for a permit for them to do improvements in the building when it gets leased up. So we have a vacant building, you're saying now 4 of them are gonna go to lease.
Correct.
When are you notified that someone's coming in and improvements are happening?
So we'll get the plans on the modifications to the interior structure, yes, because we have to take a look at the alerting system, and then we have to take a look at the sprinkler system.
Right.
So it's still, we still get kind of there's a relatively early, but we're not, when HEDC is talking and they're, yeah, we're gonna get this lease going, we're not getting in on that phase of it. So on the construction phase of it, yes, we are getting engaged.
Early on, when the drawings are first submitted to our planning group, right?
Shortly within that period, yeah.
Okay.
Because typically what will happen is Mr. Williams will forward those over.
Okay.
And it's a conversation between our fire marshal and Mr. Williams of, hey, I've got these plans, why don't you start taking a look at them? Because at the end of the day, from the COO side of things, we have to sign off, we have to give the approval for the COO to go forward. And so they want to make sure that they're meeting the requirements that we have. We don't have any requirements that are any stricter than the state. We're limited on being able to do that with the current building codes and fire code that are put in place. But we make suggestions and recommendations based on safety and based on the occupancy that they're going to run into.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with COO. This has everything to do with giving them a permit to do the improvements in the building. I would assume that you guys would get a signature or a check that you guys are okay with it before the permit's issued for the improvements in the building. So I guess my point is I think you're finding out as early as possible. I don't know if there's any further earliness for you to find out. If they're just talking to Randy about it, they don't have a lease yet, and why would you want to waste your time, right?
Fair.
So you want to make sure it's ready to go, and they're actually submitting real plans to get someone in the building.
Yeah, I think the notification's been coming on the closings with some of them. Because they talk to them, we don't get that information because we're government. And they don't want government to know because it's open book then. So that's why HEDC exists. So they talk to HEDC, but once closings are settled, once something closes, then everything has to be, then you have to know and everybody else has to know.
Usually the improvement permit in that building can be submitted prior to that.
Prior to the closing.
A lot of times these guys won't buy these buildings unless they know there's a
And that-
tenant in place and there's actual income coming in on the building.
But then doesn't that have to come through the planning commission?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We should be talking to them. I mean, they're the ones that are gonna find out. Them working in a vacuum from life safety or us at the council is silly. I mean, they know.
Yeah, before that, there's not enough detail to work with.
But
Well,
when
and-
that is submitted for review to get a permit for improvements, we should all be teed off. That shouldn't sit. We should know that that's in for review. It sounds like your group is getting notified. The
Yeah,
fire
and-
marshal should be notified that that improvement permit has been submitted for.
And a lot of times the TAC committees are where there's the plans are discussed, and we have the meeting, we'll have the plans before the TAC committee.
Yep.
So that we can make comments on.
Yep.
So-
That's your time to say something. That's your time. That's your leverage point right there.
And we have used that leverage on various buildings to the ability that we can.
Yeah, right.
So,
Well, I know when I was on the other side, it always said, whatever the fire marshal wanted, you had to do, pretty much, in the NFPA. I mean, it really does.
There's
Your
been-
fire marshal can stop you on getting in that building.
Yeah.
But it can also stop you from getting the permit to do the improvement. So I believe you guys have leverage to talk to our planning group here in the county, as well as talking directly to the engineers that are putting those plans together.
I have a dumb question. What's COO stand for?
Certificate of occupancy.
Thank you.
sorry.
So, I want to commend you for coming in and keeping the conversation going and getting at least the 3-year thing going and stuff, because we're going to be chasing this for a while.
Yeah.
Without anything new coming in. You know, we have 4 or 5 empty buildings. Those are all going to be ate up this year. Okay, we probably, 4 out of the 5 probably already are. That's going to increase, you know, everything again. There's a dozen buildings, maybe 15 buildings approved but not built yet.
Right.
I think that's going to happen in this cycle because we have trillions of dollars coming into the U.S. You know, they've been telling us that for months. It's going to filter in somehow and hit us. And we're going to dump 500 children up there that's not there now.
Right.
And adult learners in there. You know, we're gonna dump another 700 people probably up there in the next 6 months. So we got to stay on top of it, and we got to make sure that you guys have the resources you need. And I'm sure, I know this, the MOU has to go through the commissioners.
So I did talk to the commissioners, and they gave me the thumbs up to come talk to you.
Super.
Full disclosure, when I talked to them originally, it was a 2-year. And the reason that I talked about 2-year is because Mr. Poole had said 29 was, there was concerning for 29 for RDC budget then. Since then, some of the awards have come in that have pushed, and on his recommendation, I created both a 2 and a 3-year.
Right.
So my ask would be for the 3-year, obviously, but when I did talk to the commissioners, that conversation was, I wanted their, go talk to the RDC. They said, yep, come talk to you guys. And so.
So what we need is the final copy of the MOU to go through Scott Benke, the commissioner's attorney, before it comes back to us, and then before we would vote on it, if that's possible, so that, or the commissioners get it, because I don't want to sign something that they
Actually, I'd like
have.
to see him modify one thing too. I'd like him to increase, because the way, what I have budgeted here is I have 750 for next year with me. And I've talked to the commissioners about this, 780 for 28 and 811,000
Or,
for 2029.
right.
I also have a $200,000 parking lot capital improvement scheduled in 2020. This is all in our program. It's all in the same.
Yes.
So my colorful sheets,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all in there. So if we could modify it to add those amounts, that MOU and add the extra year, the commissioners, I don't speak for them, but I've spoken with them about it. They're
Yeah.
good. I think this group's good. I think
We're
they're
good.
Let's
Oh, I mean,
finalize
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm good, but I don't want to call for a vote yet until we get the
Fiscally,
Till
it's
the-
scheduled for 750, 780,
80,
8,
11.
10, or
10.
811, 200 actually, but. And then $200,000 in 2028 for a capital parking lot project.
Okay, super.
That's what I have currently budgeted.
I had a question about, are the hydrants being installed with the new developments, or are there areas that aren't covered by?
So when
Water.
there's water there, yeah, so the public hydrants and getting additional public hydrants, we can work with the utility sometimes on trying to get additional where we need. From the private hydrants that are on the private loop from what's being fed to the building, we are working with the developers on that as well, because that goes directly in correlation to the fire department connection that supports the sprinkler systems also. So we're trying to, we've been very strategic in trying to ask where those are placed so that we have access to them, and we have the ability to support a sprinkler system if we need to in the event that one goes off.
Who makes sure that they have water in them?
As far as for the
Because
hydrants,
we've already
They're
seen.
live, you're saying?
Yeah, we've already seen hydrants built in other parts of the country that never had water in them. So who makes sure that our hydrants have water in them?
so the utilities would be the one to manage that, and I can give you an example. Right now off of 200 North, you've got hydrants that are in place, but that, I believe that's 9-star, don't quote me on that, but they've not turned that main live yet, and so those hydrants aren't live. So for instance, we had a residence fire, there was a hydrant in the front yard, but the hydrant was not live yet. So we used tanker water in order to get the
Right,
water.
so how do you know that the hydrant isn't live when you approach the scene?
So we try to keep our staff as educated as possible. We actually have a dashboard, and on that dashboard, for instance, right now, there's a hydrant behind the Wendy's off of 600 that
Yeah.
is out of service. Citizens is aware of it, it's bagged. we have it up on our dashboard. Hey, this hydrant's not working. As far as the string of hydrants, we continue talking to our staff. Hey, remember, those hydrants aren't active yet. And then also them being bagged. And that's one of the things that we're getting ready to work on is getting that string of hydrants rebagged, because over the season and the year.
Right, so they shouldn't even be visible, they should be bagged.
Correct. There should be an out-of-service bag over them.
Is there any law or anything that requires them to charge hydrants once they put them in because of occupancy or because of time or anything? Or can Nine Star just put hydrants in and leave them vacant for 10 years?
I'm not going to act like that I have the specific answer on that for you.
Okay.
I
That'd be
know
a
that.
stupid business model. It's very expensive to put all that in.
Well, yeah,
They
but-
want to start charging people to use it.
We
Yeah.
beat them up on the COOs afterwards. We have a tech committee meeting like we'll have right after this, and they establish those requirements and things in there. If they don't form at some point, they can't.
Well, I just knew that the county didn't have inspectors that went out and checked and make sure waters was in it
Like
and stuff
Mr.
like that.
Rawlez will see they'll do a pressure test on things.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a member from.
Yeah, I was really surprised that they had hydrants that weren't charged in other parts of the country and nobody was responsible. You know, I mean, it was like somebody should have
They're doing their
been,
best here, and as the chief, they bag them, but they get,
yeah.
it's weather out there.
Yeah.
They generally have been responsive.
But Gary, can you take this MOU to the commissioners and get Benke and everybody to clear with the new stuff in it and then come back
I'll
to
go with
us
Chief.
in
I've
the
already talked about
next
it.
month or whatever? Because we're not dead on time. We have,
Yeah,
you
we have
know,
the year.
If you can
And-
just get those numbers added,
So you're saying have the commissioners?
then
review?
the year
Yes,
add
yes.
and then,
yeah, I want
so he'll
I would
add
agree. I would
the
agree.
attorney to
Yes.
approve
Yeah.
it.
And have the
And
attorney.
he'll add the extra year, he'll add the extra.
Yes.
Extra funds so
Right.
it matches what I have planned here.
Right,
At the next commissioner meeting, we'll just chat with them up.
Yeah.
And, get that signed off on.
yeah.
Do they sign off on it, or they just say they're okay with it?
No, I don't,
The
well,
last one, who signed it?
So,
we signed it, but did they sign it too?
no.
Okay.
So you'll see it in
But-
the minutes. You'll see it in the minutes.
Right,
they're
but
okay with
it needs to be funneled through them because they can have their attorney agree to
Yeah,
the,
we
I'll
don't
look
want it
at
to
it in the
be
next
that way.
meeting.
yes,
They'll get an okay in the minutes.
That's
and
fine.
Then chief will be back at the next meeting. We'll get it signed off.
okay, no
With
worries.
the attachment of the commissioners' meeting notes,
Yeah,
please.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
The last thing I want to do is I want to bring up Chris Collop and just give you a quick introduction to Chris, and then I will leave you alone.
Okay.
Chris Collop is the union, he is the president for the local 4787, so he represents all of the career firefighters that are within the union. And so just wanted to give you an introduction to him and give him a minute. I told him he had to keep it short because, you don't want to get interfere with lunch or with breakfast. So thank you for the time.
Yeah,
Morning, like I said,
Morning.
my name's Chris Collop. I am the local 4787 general president, so all 4 career departments in Hancock County, I am the representative of their voice. I took it over about 8 months ago. On my plan, I was talking to Chief Wilches. I just wanted to first meet with fire chiefs, and then I'm gonna start attending regular county council, county RDC, and township advisory board meetings. So I just wanted you guys to put a face to the name that you guys will start seeing me on a more regular basis. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, no problem. So, thank you for your time.
I will say one thing about the personnel, because it was a big issue with these MOUs and with everything, and because we're not going to be here when the TIF district runs out of money, okay, but it will. Someday it won't be there, and I don't want to see at that time them not have the money to support the firefighters that are there. So it's not, we're early in the game, we're trying to lay some type of, foundation as we go. And, you're not expected to be able to do it in 3 years. You may not even be able to expected to do it in 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years by yourself, but eventually the TIF district goes away. And at that point, Buck Creek will have to be able to sustain itself, but that's a challenge. But like I said, none of us will be sitting here, it'll be another group, but we got to set the base for that so that doesn't happen.
That was the approach that I took with our first MOU. I treated it similar to the way the SAFER grant would work, and I made the assumption in our budgeting process that the money was not going to be available in 2028. Money was not available in 2028. I was not going to be laying anybody off. we would have throttled back on a couple of our capital projects. We would have throttled back on a couple other things that this has allowed us to move forward on.
Right.
And so with looking at the additional funding, will continue to allow us to do some of the continued capital projects, but we're also looking at adding a position and then working with our accounting folks, ensuring that our budget growth is projected to supersede the amount that is needed for that position is always on my mind, so.
Well, and we're going to have new projects, okay? And we could have more or bigger projects than we've ever had ever before. And so when we have these big projects and they come through, then we got to be cognizant of how those affect everybody, and because you'll have to add staff, we even have to add buildings, and things like that. And the sustainability then is crucial then too, even with these big projects. And if you guys aren't keeping that in front of us, then it could get lost.
Well, and we're also talking about, I know some of the developments that are potential have had the ability to get involved in some of those conversations, as much as I'm, because I think that you're absolutely right. Something's going to have to happen at the Amplify site, because once that interchange opens up, once Amplify opens up, right now the response time to get to that intersection, you're in, I don't want to say desert, but you're in the farthest reach between the career departments to get to. So one of the things that we're even taking a look at, and I've talked to the commissioners about this, because there's not been a declaration officially or a memorandum officially out loud on public record that some of that acreage north of Amplify is dedicated for a public safety, police and fire station. We're starting to look at real estate along the 200 North Corridor, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to get in. I trust that we won't have a problem, and I trust that the commissioners will at some point. But until they do, I always have to operate in the vacuum of where are we going next, and out towards that area is where we're looking.
Yeah.
Again, kind of looking at those things again.
So to help you with the question you had about the growth and public safety and staffing and all that stuff, through our end on the union, we get to go to our international and we ask for a GIS study. That GIS study, they work with the local district vice president and myself, and they pull run logs over a span of, I believe, 2 years. They look at our response area and our outlying response area. The unique thing about Hancock County is that our mutual aid agreements, we go all the way to county line, east, south, north, and west. So when I gave him that data, he goes, "You go how far out?" I go, "We have the potential going to Shirley and Wilkinson." Yeah. Along with that data, they look at our trucks, our staffing, where our stations are located, what trucks are located at those stations, and then they ask for any other outlying data that we ask for. And then what they do is they pull a whole pool of analysts out in Washington, and they look at our data based off of industry standards. And then they bring it back to us in basically a beautiful PowerPoint that we can have, little hyperlinks and mapping. The new thing that they get to show now is we can actually pull our daytime population data. So for Buck Creek Township, during normal business hours, our population almost doubles. So when we get to that point when we're ready to start presenting that, I'm going to have that for you, but that shows where industry standard shows that we need to be at based off of initial response on a commercial building, initial response on a residential building, criteria for timing on how fast our staff needs to be there in a certain amount of time. It actually shows the data of where we're lacking in those areas just because of how fast the township is growing. So right now our priority for the 4787 is trying to get this staffing model up to where we can provide that proper staffing for commercial, residential, and the commerce that does come through the township.
Will it show hydrant locations and which ones are working?
No. However, there is 9 variables on our mapping that shows everything. I mean, it shows population daytime data. It shows houses built prior to 1960. It shows population of senior citizens over a certain age, children under the age of 5. This is all, I mean, it blew my mind. It took
Isn't
me
it
2 hours
important
to
to
go
have
through it and go,
hydrants, though? Isn't it important to have hydrants when you show up at a place that's on fire?
Yes, absolutely.
Shouldn't it be part of that?
It is. It is. Honestly, I believe the only reason why the GIS map can't show that is because of how fast the data can change over a matter of 6 months. It's not a live map. The map is based off of census counts, and then when they look at our run data, and it's based off of all of that stuff.
Well, as fast as we're growing, I mean, the data's changing constantly anyway. What was your last name?
Colip, COLIP.
Thank you.
The only other thing that I don't know, and it will affect us, is how SB1 and all that is, if they're talking about consolidation of fire districts. And so you guys will have to keep us educated on what that does if that happens. Because the reason you go to Shirley is because we don't have a single fire district in the county. And, but
So there's the commissioners have paid Baker Tilly to do an assessment, and they've actually reached out to the fire departments. They did an information request that they've asked for. I believe it's by the end of. They're asking for an extensive amount of information to do an evaluation of the current departments that are established. And then one of the conversation is if there's a consolidation, what would be the debt service? What would be things along those lines? So I think that information will come in handy as well to give you a broad picture and a broad stroke.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What have we got going on, Gary?
All right, we are behind, so I'll catch us up.
Catch us up.
TIF additional parcels. I'm probably going to present you at some point. There are some parcels out there that are zoned industrial that are not within the TIF because things have changed. At some point, we'll want to circle around and get those. Otherwise, they could build at will without any.
I understand.
I think so. There's a few of those. I'll be coming to use those at some point. Amplify. You'll see a bill on there for $1.2 million. Those are for things they are installing, bus cables and things like that. And you got all those receipts and stuff. I didn't get to verify those myself. So that $1.2 million, what is that?
No,
That's that loan.
yeah.
I know I
that's-
moved the money.
Yes.
They're going to go ahead and, after the meeting the other day with Stan, auditor, go ahead and give the 1.2 million and they'll provide the receipts as.
Yeah, we're going to
Okay.
go ahead and fund because.
So funding in advance is tricky, so make sure they turn that around quickly because the government doesn't like to pay for things before we have
The
it.
auditor was in the meeting. She said that
But just make sure it's good.
it's fine.
Okay, just double checking that. I'm just letting
We
you know
can't
I didn't
write the
verify
checks
that myself.
fast enough. Even today, it's going to be in the middle of March before they get their first check, and they've already spent $500,000.
I'm
So-
fine with it. That's why we get all the grants for.
June
However, I'm just letting you know
19th is
I
the-
have not verified it myself yet.
June
So,
19th is the deadline now, so.
got it. What else we got? 300 North, it's been let. We got $3.5 million more from the state, which has allowed the Amplify and some of this other stuff to go and stabilize our budget. One last item, they didn't cover it, but a lot of talk about the existing EDAs. The existing EDAs, I do not count for any of that money coming into our budget. I anticipate if we receive any of that money, that it goes directly to public safety and stuff like that. However, the stuff that already exists, we need to verify, is any of that coming in yet, or what is the situation with that? So we'll go up to, for the next meeting, can we get a good current, the amount we're receiving currently and a current projection of what we might expect in the next few years? You have that right now? Can we hear about it now? Do you guys mind? I'd like to hear that. But those funds, I do not plan for going into any of the capital project, any of the stuff
Good.
we've talked about.
Good,
I
because-
do not have it accounted for at all. From the meetings back then, that was all going to go direct to police and
But
fire.
I did hear something alarming about 10 years from now, the amount of money that's in there.
I'm just living right now.
So, now it just comes in sporadic and it's small and there's people that aren't even doing it right. But
Well, so did all our other stuff. It started small and now it's giant.
I heard the maturity of those EDAs were 26.
It'd be nice to know how many actually
Yeah.
manifest versus how many were talked about and
Right,
never happened.
right.
What's the real deal on that?
Now, I think you're very smart by not baking it into our numbers.
Right.
And the commissioners.
Smart. I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm not
control of
elected.
who gets that.
I'm
No,
not
and I think
elected.
the commissioners have total control who
Yeah,
gets that.
they do.
Yeah, I think so.
You pulling it up? If we could just know what we expect to receive this year, and then do you have something that can present the anticipated amounts in the future years? Thank you very much for doing that. And then we need to talk about how that can be distributed to the units that the money was intended to.
While they're doing that, Gary, where are we at with the interchange?
Interchange is moving right along. NDOT is finalizing their contract with H&TB. There's been informal meetings, of course, going on. They are asking,
Manager or designer?
designer.
Okay.
So they are asking, we, as a county, we do a good job with our projects. We have a reputation for that. They want to ask us to handle some of the right-of-way earlier than the anticipated time.
Handle right away as in pay
As
for
in,
it?
we pay for it, buy it, handle the purchasing. I said if they want us to do that, there's a capital cost for us to bring the money earlier, and there's a political cost for your staff or the commissioner staff, which would be me, to handle it. People don't like it when we do right away. It's never popular. So there's a political and a cost of capital cost, because $20 million in 2031 is not worth as much as $20 million in 2019. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm going to say we'll want some of that cost of capital back. We'll want to reduce our $20 million at least by inflation amount. And then if the commissioners want something for the political hassle of doing the right-of-way, then they can talk about that too. But that's being talked about. There's nothing formalized, but there's always a million things being talked about. But that's kind of the big things going on. But otherwise, it's advancing. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
You want to plug in?
This really isn't official. I'm
Not official. We know that none of what you're going to hear is official.
Yeah, it's a working document. So, so I collected last year. There were 2 businesses that paid into the EDA. That was GDI and 70 Connect. And I collected $388,652. Now, I do know some of that was spent. I think $100,000, I think, is what I saw. This year, I anticipate collecting from 3 businesses. That would be GDI, 70 Connect, and Red Rock. And I'm estimating about $539,000. That's based upon tax rates. I got to change that. And then then it's supposed to increase over, the following year. I got $689,000, and then 1.5 million, 2.4 million, 3.6. Now, in saying all of that, I went through yesterday, and I'm still working on this. That's why I'm not showing any of it. Is there are quite a few, and Randy Sorrell did say this yesterday. There are quite a few people who are not meeting their EDA requirements because they set when they were supposed to start a project and when they were supposed to finish it. And so that is what I'm working on right now to see who is not in compliance with that. Yeah. But there are 2 different requirements. There was requirements that were set on EDA, and there were some set on the abatement, and they don't match up at all. So that's what I'm working on.
So what could happen is a company not meet their 7-year deadline to build a structure on that property and everything be wiped clean, including the EDAs. And then they would have to come back to the county to restart that project. And so what?
EDA's assignable?
They're us. We're not.
No.
Right. But
Who has them? Can they assign them to whoever buys the property?
Yes, it's
That's what
tax
I'm saying.
yes,
So it is. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
but if our 10-year projections for this project, and it had 6 buildings and only has 2 on it, and we're counting that those other 4 buildings will be built, it might not happen like that, because we're talking about killing we have a 7-year sunset on them to get further abatements.
Some of them do, some of them don't. That's the one thing that I have found as
Well, when we started it.
So it's been all over the place. There are
Right.
a few of them that have stipulations, like GDI, for instance. They had until July of 2028 to pull permits. Mm-hmm. But so far, out of the EDA people, because not every single one of them have EDAs.
Right.
Those are the only ones that have some sort of stipulation that was put on their abatement.
I heard some wild number about how many millions it was going to be in 10 or 15 years. I personally don't believe it'll get there, because I think these things will fall apart before there, or the commissioners will piecemeal the money out. Prior to that,
We have received $500,000. It's been a real money, right?
Yes,
Real money.
we are anticipating
And
530.
that real money will increase. What fund does that go to?
It's an EDA. I don't know the fund.
Okay, so the things to know would be our best guess, 90%. Mm-hmm. What real money, outside of all the stuff we're talking about, that could change over 10 years. What real money are we receiving, and where's it going? And how is that distributed? You don't have to answer that right now. How is that distributed to public service out there? That would be a good Where's it going, and how does it get to public service? And then a projection of what it probably, not a
Right,
guarantee,
but-
what it probably will be when
Right.
people fail and stuff like that.
Right. Well, you might,
Because it will be millions of dollars.
you'll have to have that conversation with the commissioners.
Yes.
And you need to have a nice conversation because we had unnice conversations about the first letting of it. So it was a contentious moment between the council and the commissioners, and it shouldn't be.
It should be, because it is, we anticipated a need, because we can't meet, their initial ask was for, let's just take Buck Creek.
I know.
for instance, was
Yeah.
for $3 million a year.
Yeah, but the money that came out of it last year didn't go to Buck Creek.
So I want to make sure that we know where it's going, because I don't have my hands on it.
Right. But that's
So-
what I said. The way it was set up, the only thing the council can do is not fund any of it.
So it'd be nice to know what our real projections are,
Which I
what
have
funds
those.
it goes to,
Yeah.
and who's authorizing the disbursements.
That, I'm pretty sure that
That
it was.
is. Yeah, they have
Let's
sole
just nail
control.
that down and get
Yeah,
it.
so I
Yeah.
collect this money, I send out letters, I'm gonna be sending out letters probably April 1st. And they are due when taxes are due, so I get half in May, half in November, and then I just put that
Right.
in the fund, and that's where my job starts.
And you're doing a
stops.
great job, but
Yeah.
you can't predict it perfectly.
No, I cannot,
But if you could make
No.
a general estimate,
and that's what I kind of have right here. What I have to do also is see if there's any buildings that are gonna be up and coming for 26, pay 27.
Of course.
And I won't know that until July.
okay.
And so this is a ever working.
Well,
you know.
but
So why don't we circle back on this in August?
okay,
Okay.
yeah. Don't construe what I said, though, that the money that was given to wasn't something I didn't agree to.
No, it's fine.
Because
just wanna
I
make sure we
agreed
got
to
it.
them giving that money, but it did not go to Buck Creek. It went to another emergency agency. So, that's what I mean. That's why the commissioners
It
and
was
the
set up to
council
go
had to.
Emergency agencies, plural.
Absolutely.
So, okay, but it'd be nice to know what that.
So the whole
mechanism is.
premise of the.
For their sake, so they can do their politics.
The whole premise of the EDU, why it was developed, was to give to life safety?
Agencies, yes.
Yes, because back then.
No, I understand. I just
couldn't.
wasn't, there's a reason they were formed, why?
We couldn't use operational money. This can be used as
Right.
operational money. We couldn't use operational money because of the state law. They
Okay.
changed state law.
Oh, so now we can
And
use
so
it
now we can
towards
use any of the
staffing
money for
yeah.
staffing.
Okay.
And so the EDAs are a dead deal, but there's some in place. There'll be no new ones created.
Right.
But I do want to make
But
sure
the
that,
ones that are in place are in place.
I
let's
got
make sure that EDA money, let me know immediately if it's going into 4616
You
or
couldn't hire a person
4624 or any of
before.
the two.
They are.
That's good.
We went around. We
So I'm going
forced
to make
the
sure I'm
state
not
to change
counting
that.
it in my
I
revenue.
hear
Got
you.
it.
He created something. So
Okay,
I did.
so we can move on from that.
Yep.
We'll circle back on this in August with an estimate of funds. Everything I do is an estimate too, by the way.
So when's 300 North gonna be done?
2 years, we should be closing out.
Start?
It's let right now, so it has been let.
it's
So it'll start in the spring. It'll be the standard project. You'll see a bunch of underground stuff happen
Got it.
first. It'll look boring.
Got it.
Huh?
Who got it?
I believe that's Calumet. So I believe I've got a bunch of projects right now.
Okay.
So you won't see much at first, but a lot of the expensive work happens first under the ground, utilities and stuff, which we've been hardening the utilities throughout the whole
So
region.
300 to where? What's our segment?
6 to 7.
Okay. So it's not in
There'll be
front of the
around
school.
about at 700 West.
Okay.
All right. We already talked about the furnishings, furniture, and equipment at Amplify. So we already talked about that. And the invoices, the largest one on there is the Amplify. So 1.2 million. That was derived from the additional grant for the transportation thing.
I think we change our notes on the 1.2 million. It's equipment.
It is equipment,
It's
but
just
it just falls under that category.
I know, but it's a loan. I
FF&E
It's a-
is,
don't like that.
Currently, it is the
The only
acceleration
reason
of the
I don't
payments.
like FF&E was because of some stuff that was done up early in your guys' meeting.
the language
That-
is in the bond for FF&E.
That's right. I don't
and it's
think-
not the
It
same.
is FF&E, period. That's what's in the bond,
Okay.
that's what's in the contract, that's in the AICI. So
Okay.
But that's not this 1.2.
it's going to FF&E.
Well, but the E is the equipment, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a generic term.
But the
Well, it's
bonds.
not generic, it's in
this-
a contract.
No, I know.
But this money, this 1.2 is coming from the RDC, not the bond.
It's coming from the RDC, yes.
Okay,
But
so
it's for
what
the-
does it matter what the bond says? This is our deal.
That's true. I'm just letting you know what category it's going
I
into.
agree, but my point is I don't want it to get,
You can call it whatever you want.
Okay.
Pedantics.
But it's going to not Amplify, it's going to
Okay, so HC3 is the accredited, and in July, they will be the accredited part of the school system. That's why when you go to Amplify, you'll be able to get a state certification for that thing, and that's HC3. Now, the LEA, the company in charge, it's not a company, the school system in charge of HC3 is Mount Vernon. They're the LEA. The way the state works school systems, they have to have an LEA, and then they have to work underneath that and that. So the money has to go to Mount Vernon.
So the deeds for the equipment go to
For
Mount.
all the deeds.
Because
and
we don't
all
want to own all the
It's
equipment.
not Amplify, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
It's not Amplify. Amplify's a bigger entity
It's a big
than
entity, sure.
just going.
It's
Right.
pedantics.
I
It's
just
buying
think-
equipment for that school building.
Agreed,
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
think we need to change
Sure, change it,
this.
whatever you want it to
We
be.
need to change the language, that's all.
But the check will be written to Mount Vernon School Systems.
Correct.
That's right.
Because we want them to
Because
hold the
they're the
deeds.
LEA for this. But now, in July, my understanding is the school will be its own.
And you cleared that with Deborah, that was okay to do it this way?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Can we change it in the notes?
Change whatever you want, yeah. It's your meeting.
That it's, the invoices will go to Mount Vernon,
HC3.
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 Yeah,
So instead of Amplify, I'll have
Yeah, it's
HC3.
HC3. HC3 is the legal name.
No Amplify at all.
Nope.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Because that's
know.
going to them.
I know.
We can't, so my point is if,
No, we got it.
Okay.
We got it.
unless you're gonna let me use it to operate that
No, we're
building,
not giving it to her.
give it to me to operate the building and pay my utility
No,
fees. All right, so I'm just saying,
it's okay. It'll be okay.
You got the change?
I do have one other thing for you, Gary. In this year, probably in June, April, May or June or sometime, the council has a committee for, and you were part of it to start with, I believe you might already know, they have a committee for the 5 and 10-year outlook for the TIF districts.
I didn't know about that, but
Yeah,
I'm
they-
sure I'll get a call soon.
Okay, so we brought in a consultant last year. We sat down and did a work study, and we created for the TIF districts, and we created for the county farm and the judicial system. And
Okay.
they've met and done stuff. Last year, we didn't do anything because I was waiting for more stuff to materialize.
You're on that committee.
So you're on that committee, whether you
Okay.
know it or not, but we're going to have a
I do what I'm
meeting
told.
to talk about the next 5, 10, and 15 years.
Sure thing.
And so that's going to happen this year, and then we'll start, by the end of the year, maybe we'll have a recommendation to present to the commissioners that the committee agrees on, that says, okay, this is what direction we're going. In 5 years, this is what direction we're going. In 10 years, this is what direction we're going. In 15 years.
Got it. So it'll be something like this, except countywide, which is, you're right, Jim has had me working on, something like,
Right.
break
but
out like
we're-
all the outlays for,
But we have to put on the table all of the future needs from other entities, other government entities, from school systems, from other fire departments, from everything. We got to put everything on there, from parks, everything, and we got to come up with some type of a guidance.
Got it. This group's planning the 2043, by the way, just so you.
I know. No,
I look forward to doing the same thing for the other parts of the county.
do we need a motion for the invoices?
You do, well, we haven't got there, but you need to clear those, so let's finish that up. But I'll be at whatever meeting they tell me to be at.
No, I know. I mean, anything we do could change, but we have to start somehow.
We have to have a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do.
That would be irresponsible not to. This plan will change, but we have to have a plan.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want the state being part of our plan.
What's the
part of
invoice for distribution 19 to Ferris?
Hold on.
Distribution 19 down at the bottom, says Ferris.
Oh, fares.
Mm-hmm.
That is for the drainage piping through their land. We pay for easement to run drainage through there. That is the purchase of an easement through their property.
Ferris.
I always thought it was Ferris.
It is.
Ferris.
That's who we purchased the 40 acres off of.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 20, it's for amplifying the other 20.
So,
Anybody have any questions on any of the other invoices? I would entertain a motion that we approve the invoices while Gary's still up there.
I will second that motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the invoices for $2,282,744.55.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the invoices. See no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Thank you. What have you got left? Well, it's 9 o'clock. so
Bullseye. How about that?
Is there anything else from any of the other board members? I appreciate everybody's attendance, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you guys. This is hard.